If you're married and you have a joint trust that was done prior to 2013, then you should have your trust reviewed to make sure you don't have what's called an AB trust. The AB trust was done to avoid estate taxes back when the estate tax exemption was much lower than it is today. Today, in 2019, our estate tax exemption amount is $11.4 million per person. So, if you're married, you can use an exemption from each spouse. That's called portability. So you have $22.8 million that you can pass free of estate tax or death tax. This AB trust structure was done back when the exemption amount was lower, like I said. So for example, if it was $600,000 in the early 2000s, then the AB trust structure was done so that you could pass on as a married couple not just $600,000 but $1.2 million, because you weren't allowed to double up on exemption amounts before. Now the AB trust structure, and sometimes the B trust is referred to as the bypass trust or the residual trust or the exemption trust. Those are some names that it can have. Or the credit shelter trust is another one that I see often. If you have the AB trust structure, then it can cause problems when the first spouse passes away. You'll have to administer the trust and divide it into two halves, an A half and a B half. There are also potential capital gains tax problems when the surviving spouse dies. So when the beneficiaries inherited after both spouse passes away, they may have to pay capital gains tax, which they otherwise wouldn't have to pay if you didn't have an AB trust. It's also complex. You have to file tax returns, or you may have to file tax returns for the B trust when the first spouse passes away. The B trust becomes irrevocable, and the list goes on. It's just a hassle, and it could potentially cost you money in taxes, legal fees, and other administration fees if you still have this type of trust. So rule of thumb is if you are married, it's a joint trust, and it was done prior to 2013, you definitely want to go back to your attorney or see another attorney who's qualified in estate planning and get it reviewed.